So over the past 7 days, we were able to generate 104,000 GBP for one of our done-for-you agency clients. And this is cash collected, Great British pounds. It comes out to around, I think 143,000 USD. Now, I'll just refresh the page here so you can see, I'll go over to the transactions. You can see that we had 4 paid in fulls over the past 2 days, which is pretty nice. 11.4, 11.4, 11.4, 11.4, yada, yada, yada. You can see today we had a 22.8, yesterday we had a 22.8. I kind of was reflecting on this today, right? And how we've been able to build this business to this stage where we can pull 100K months with ease. And it got me thinking, right? It got me thinking how simple the system actually is, how simple the system actually is, and how well oiled the machine is, because we paid very close attention to each stage of the customer journey and really gave it a lot of TLC, right? We came into this business, the sales team needed revamping, the whole customer journey didn't even exist. There was no data tracking sheets. We came in, we've revamped the whole thing. We've been working with this client for around 3 to 4 months now, and we've completely turned the business around. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because I was reflecting on how simple this process actually is. And I just want to give you kind of an overview of the kind of funnel that we use and the different stages of the customer journey and why our closers can pull, 4 piffs in 2 days from a cold ass lead, right? So let me walk you through the kind of process. This is a super rush video, mostly because I wanted to record this shit today as it's fresh, as we're looking at the past 7-day timeframes, and we're literally just come off the back of 2 freaking 22K days. So there's 4 stages to this, right? There is attention, nurture, prime, and convert. Now, the quality of the calls that your closers are gonna sit, or you're gonna sit, is going to be based off of the quality of your top of funnel, right? The people that you're attracting top of funnel are gonna largely influence the type of individuals that you get on calls to. I had a coaching call today with a different client and was looking at close rates, was trying to understand where the bottlenecks in that business are right now. And it turns out that they were just letting he thought that they had a low close rate, but actually they were just letting a bunch of unqualified leads onto the calendar, people who weren't really ready to speak to a closer, essentially. So, on the surface level, it would look like they have a low close rate, but actually when you're speaking to the right lead, the close rate was very high. Now, the reason I mention that is because your top of funnel matters, right? The nurturing process, the conversation process that your appointment setters are having, your triage call if you have one, all of this matters with regards to your ability to, close consistent, high paid in fulls. So with the attention, we use invitation ads. I've done a bunch of videos on this. I'll probably post it somewhere here on screen. I'm not going to dive into what an invitation ad is, but it's essentially one piece of the entry matrix, right? The category creators operating system. If you're new to the channel, you probably haven't seen this before, but I'll probably link another video around here or in the description, which pretty much goes through the operating system that I build with all my clients. We build the foundations, we build your top of funnel strategies, we build the middle of funnel nurturing engine, we build the bottom of funnel conversion assets stage of the business, and then we go through and we amplify and we scale and systemize, SOP, hire, delegate, all that sort of bullshit, right? Now, invitation ads, I believe, and this is based off of my opinion, based off of experience, based off of the clients I'm managing right now, I think invitation ads are great. Instagram profile ads, DM ads, all that sort of stuff. It's leading top of funnel with your Instagram profile. You're not forcing people into a linear path through cold VSLs and all that sort of stuff. I love VSLs. I'm not shitting on VSLs, but with this particular client, we're very heavy on top of funnel Instagram follower ads because we also have the Instagram DM setting process dialed in, right? If you are, I'm not going to kind of dive into invitation ads, but if you are running Instagram follower ads and Instagram DM ads and you don't have a setter or you don't have a solid proven process to convert that attention into booked appointments, there is no point in you running an Instagram first funnel. You might as well run something like a direct to schedule funnel, VSL call funnel, whatever you want to call it, right? So we have the invitation ads and then we push them through to a Trojan horse magnet. Now, a Trojan horse lead magnet is essentially a lead magnet with an ulterior intention, right? Which they're not really aware of to begin with. Now, instead of just delivering a lead magnet to someone via email, What we do instead is we host them inside of a free school community. Now, we do this for many different reasons. I'm not going to get into it in this video. Again, I have another video which goes into that. You can check out my video on the Institute method, a bunch of other stuff like that. I'll link it somewhere here on screen or down in the description. But you think about it like this, right? You want to be kind of maximizing the journey that you're putting these leads through. And you want to be making sure that if they download the lead magnet, they're not just then disregarded of or just left to build dust on a list somewhere. You want to put them inside of a free community because they are then joining that community. They can get indirect exposure to other things. If you structure the community in the correct way, you can create a lot more impact from this and squeeze more juice out of the orange compared to just delivering a lead magnet via email, for example, right? Or via DMs. So essentially for this client, we have around 40 to 80 different lead magnet angles, not different lead magnets, just different angles that we're pushing, all to the same types of content within the school community. They go into the school community, they're then retargeted with ads that push them through to YouTube videos, push them through to longer form VSLs. And these are long form videos that you can host on a landing page because then you can leverage the pixel data to retarget them to a VSL booking page. Whole host of other stuff. And then we hit them with the Activate engine. Now, again, this is something that I've been through I haven't actually created a video on this individually, but I have gone through this inside of the Institute video that I created. So go ahead and check that out after this video. But it's basically a strategic depth building loop that guides leads towards your Keystone asset fully pre-sold. And we do that by creating content and assets around authority, connection, trust, identity, vision, alignment, testimonials, and evidence. And then we push them through to long form content, and based on the long form content they viewed, we can then retarget them to the VSL. So pretty much what happens right now is that, we have invitation ads getting top of funnel traffic to an Instagram page. We retarget them with a lead magnet. That lead magnet is then hosted inside a school. We retarget the school data because you can obviously collect pixel data when you join a school, when someone joins a school community. We retarget that school pixel data with longer form videos, building that depth, building that trust. And this is all based off of pretty much everything you would want a lead to know, feel, and understand before they get on a call with yourself or your closer. Okay, authority, credibility, everything I mentioned in the Activate engine, they're going through that content, and they're also going through, basically there's a strategy that I refer to in the Institute method that we use where we create 20 to 40 different reels. I've done it for this client. And you put them in an awareness campaign, but you target your warm audience. So what that pretty much does is anyone who's visited your VSL pages, your school community, your Instagram page, maybe even scheduled a call with you, they're going to be hit with 20 to 40, depending on how many you make, different reels which cover everything within the Activate engine, right? And what you do is you put them into separate ad sets and you create an exclusion rule on each of those videos, each of those creatives, so that anytime someone watches 25, 50% of a single video, they get excluded from that video and move to the next. So you can I know I'm going over this very briefly, but the reason I'm doing that is because I just want to show you the system. And then if you want to learn deeper about it, you can obviously go and watch the individual videos I'm referring to. But pretty much you've got people that are learning about you through the invitation ads, through the Instagram ads. They're then downloading some form of lead magnet, going inside of the school, and then they're getting hit with endless videos back to back to back to back. And you're not having to create this content, right? Because you could be creating content on Instagram 2, 3, 4 months down the line. No one's ever going to see that reel again. So we're going to be leveraging all of those videos, right? You may already have videos that could be added to this, right? And you maybe just record more. So then the final part of this puzzle is then retargeting them to the Keystone asset. And the Keystone asset is pretty much a single scalable sales asset that delivers your pitch, removes objections, and drives sales on autopilot. This could be an auto webinar, this could be a live webinar, it could be a VSL, it could be a sales doc if you're one of those guys that like to sell without getting on calls, whatever it might be, right? And once they've arrived to this asset, they are now being primed. They're now getting to the final parts, that all of that FAQs have been answered. We've built trust in you, we've built trust in your offer, we've built trust in the opportunity. We've maybe even to some degree shifted beliefs, because a lot of high ticket selling, what you'll find is that someone can believe in you, right? Someone can believe in your method, but maybe they don't believe in themselves. Maybe they don't think that, they're going to be able to achieve it based on some kind of identity or belief limitation. So what I also recommend for people that might be in an industry where that is applicable, you want to be, embody the transformation, right? You were obviously once a starter or a beginner or whatever it is that you're doing. So revert back to that. Talk about that period of your life, right? Talk about the beliefs you had to build. Talk about the limitations you had to overcome, the new identity or transformation you had to step into. and allow them to see themselves in your transformation, right? So on top of trusting you, on top of trusting your results, on top of authority, credibility, they also have to trust that they themselves are going to be able to achieve the said outcome that you promise, right? So once they've gone through the Keystone asset, they're now ready to schedule a call. This may be through a DM setter. This may be through the, for this particular Keystone asset, we have a VSL funnel. It has an opt-in, which includes a mobile number, and we have two setters. We have a DM setter and we have someone that calls the leads as well. Now, the individual that calls the leads, that she will call them to schedule them in if they've opted in for the VSL but not actually booked a call. If they have booked a call, or either way, they still go through a triage process. Now, I would say that this triage process is arguably probably one of the most important stages of this entire funnel to make sure that the leads that are arriving to the calendar are financially qualified, they're educated, they've gone through the pre-call assets. A lot of people out there, I obviously coach people, I have done for you offers and stuff like that, but I speak to a lot of people and I'm very surprised with the amount of people that will have a funnel where someone can schedule a call, and from the moment someone schedules a call to the moment they actually take that call, there is no communication. There is nothing that happens between someone scheduling a call to then arriving to that call. And they wonder why show rates are low. They wonder why people aren't financially qualified. They wonder why people are just fishing information. They wonder why close rates low. The quality of the calls that you take is based on the quality of the system you have prior to that call being booked and after that call being booked, right? So you want to have a triage process. Our, appointment setter at the moment, the one who dials the calls via like a phone, will speak to leads maybe 10, 20, 15 minutes, right? And that's making sure they're financially qualified, they're educated on the opportunity, they're educated on what it is that we specialize in, how it works. So you're not going to have people coming through to schedule a call with you who just want to learn more, right? They don't actually want to work with you yet. They just want to learn more. We want to make sure that everyone who arrives to this call is educated, they understand, what's going on, and they have high intent, right? Because we want, anyone can scale and book a freaking bunch of calls, but you want to make sure that the quality of the calls is there too. And a lot of people that don't take the calls themselves, i.e. they have a closer, they don't really give a shit, right? Because they think they're not the ones taking the calls, but we give a shit about our closers and we give a shit about the close rate. So we like to make sure that, we're not just getting some random bozos on the call who just want to learn more about the opportunity, right? They are high intent, they're financially qualified, and to some degree ready to take action if it's a good fit. We have an application call to, again, double vet the prospects after the triage. Because, guys, with the triage call, you can't be too intrusive, right? You can ask some surface level questions and get a good gauge, and this will also depend on the experience of your appointment setter to understand, they get a good feeler for kind of where the prospect's at. We do ask slightly intrusive questions if if our appointment setter has a high concern that maybe this individual won't be financially qualified, and we'll just drop the price on the triage there and then. And some people will be like, yeah, that's cool. Some people will be like, holy shit, that is not for me. In that case, we've just saved the closer an entire hour booked out of his calendar to then take that prospect that wouldn't have actually been qualified in the first place. So we're tracking all of this, right? We're tracking the cost per call. We're tracking the cost per call actually sat. We're tracking the cost per close. Everything with all of these points into one sheet, from the ads, from the DM setter, from the manual phone appointment setter, to the closers, then tracking in that CRM who's showing up to calls, who's not showing up to calls, using Hyros as a tracking platform to understand what pathway, what ads, what kind of funnel is generating the most ROI. And this is how you're able to scale to weeks where you're doing £104,000 cash collected, and we've probably spent, I think we've spent probably around £600 to £1,000 on ads in the past week, right? So it's not to say that they all came from the ads. Obviously, there's a pipeline that we've been building. But yeah, it's really that simple, right? We have an application process and then it goes through to a sales call. Now, if you do want to obviously learn more about the invitation ads, more about Trojan Horse lead magnets, I'll list everything out in the description of this video, so you can go ahead and take a look at that. But I just wanted to record kind of a fresh video off the bat of the process that we have, how we're able to pull months, weeks, whatever, in the kind of volumes that we are. And yeah, go ahead, check those videos out. If you have any comments, any questions, sorry, you can leave them down in the comments and connect with me on Instagram.